What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punteri. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers preparing for a bounce back, hopefully, as they close out the 2025 regular season. Meanwhile, there is some conversation floating around the NFL about one head coach that is looking for a change, and the Steelers might be that head coach. We're diving into how Mike Tomlin may be looking for a change of scenery. Is he on the hot seat in the meantime? And does that mean an end is in sight? And the Overreaction Tuesday that I think fits the bill pretty perfectly for this one as we dive into it. It's a rainy one here in the city of Pittsburgh. Apologize for the late start. StreamYard decided that our attempt to go live on shorts and regular was not going to happen this week, so we'll try it next week. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling like I don't know technology one lick anymore. You know, I'm only 29 years old, but I feel so old. You're like, oh, we're gonna go live on two things, and I'm like, what? I have my notes scribbled in front of me on a piece of paper, you know, and maybe I should just be chiseling away on my stone and tablet before these podcast episodes. But we'll figure it out later. And by we, I mean you. I'm doing great. One of my dogs is laying next to me just several feet. So if you see me stumble or trip or mumble under my breath, get out of my way, Eleanor. It's because my sweet dog is next to me, which I am very glad that she's joining for the podcast today. Yes, I'm talking about you, puppy girl.
It's beautiful. That is, it's a good time. That makes two of us because the cat is always hanging out somewhere, but he knows he's not allowed to make an appearance. Not just yet. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. Let's start with a lengthy injury report from the black and gold. Broderick Jones is dealing with the neck injury. He is out this week. Derek Harmon pops up as well with a knee injury. He is out as well. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers optimistic to play, but they will see how the week takes him. Alex Highsmith is still a possibility. DK Metcalf limited with an ankle. Joey Porter Jr. limited with the hip. And Ben Skoranek limited with a shoulder. It's getting rough for the black and gold out here. I will say this when it comes to Broderick. I don't know the severity of Derek Harmon yet. I also don't know the severity of Broderick Jones. I will say that stingers are usually much more significant than their name entails. People tend to overlook a stinger injury. Sometimes that's a career-ending injury in the NFL. It is not one to overlook at all, and one that could keep Broderick out for several weeks here as the Steelers approach the playoffs. They got a plan for that. We'll dive into it here in a minute. But your thoughts on a very lengthy injury report for the Pittsburgh Steelers to start this week?
It doesn't help anything that's going on, you know, for a team that feels like they are in the descent right now, like they are about to hit rock bottom or hitting rock bottom, or maybe just things look gloomy and bleak. However you have come to define what's going on over these past few weeks. Having such a banged up roster on both sides of the ball, it's not going to help, especially going up against a tough, still figuring things out, admittedly, but a tough Buffalo Bills team. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have to treat every game like a desperate must-win contest from here on out if they want to survive in any sort of fashion. And we can have a debate about, you know, where they fall in that sort of hierarchy of the NFL right now. But I think they are just in a tough place, and you know, when you're down, the hits keep coming, and it's kind of, they just got to keep taking these punches and find a way to be resilient through it. To touch on Broderick Jones for just a moment, that's like, when it comes to like neck, spine, head injury, stuff like that, obviously I have no idea the severity or, you know, what exactly happened. But when it comes to those areas of the body, I just, you know, it always worries me. I think they just got to be super duper careful, hope that he is able to recover quickly and he's back on the field ASAP, but hope it is just proceed with caution as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, most times it is. You know, guys don't usually get rushed back from that. It is a slow process, which makes me think that the Steelers are going to really, really hold back on Broderick Jones and what they do with him over the next couple of weeks, which again, in my head, means that the Steelers aren't going to see their starting left tackle for numerous weeks as they go and look to close out the regular season. They do have a competition at left tackle. Andrus Peat, who Mike Tomlin now knows the name of, at least one of them, and Calvin Anderson will compete this week. It is almost a battle of who would you least like to see on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. It cannot get worse. It seems to be getting worse. I'll ask you very straightforward. Who walks away the winner of this? Who's the starting left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers in a competition that people have nightmares over in Steelers Nation?
Man, I've just been salivating at the chance to talk about who of these backup options can just usurp Broderick Jones. What a fun competition. Look, I think it's going to be Calvin Anderson. I think there is already a preferential treatment given to him. It's not good, right? It's the lesser of two evils, maybe. Or really, it's just a gamble on what you might think is the lesser of two evils. Calvin Anderson was the extra lineman available all season. He's been dressing more. He has been he was the one who replaced Broderick Jones. And I think this was really the first day. I think I texted you this. I think Mike Tomlin think Andrus Peat's first name is Pete, like Peter. That was kind of the way he was talking about him today. And he was like, this is a guy who's got all kinds of experience. He's a first round pick and then blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, he's utilized him in one series in the offense, and he got a false start penalty. So I think it's pretty obvious who Mike Tomlin has more trust and belief in, and I think it's Calvin Anderson. Could Andrus Peat, see more time? I expect that, but I think it's going to be Calvin Anderson, maybe Spencer Anderson right next to him, depending on Anderson and Anderson law firm.
Anderson and Anderson law firm. Protect nothing, sack everything. That is their motto. Awful. I agree with you. It'll be Calvin Anderson in this one. The other one is Joey Porter Jr. I asked Mike Tomlin, and we won't touch too much longer on the injuries, but I asked Mike Tomlin about Asante Samuel Jr. making his way up this week. He said, maybe. There's a chance. There's a possibility. I do think that Asante does get his name called at some point this week to give himself an opportunity, just because I don't see Joey doing much throughout the week. I think if he does play, it is going to be a game time decision for Joey Porter Jr. And I think Asante Samuel Jr. may be making his way onto the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. What do you expect? Do you think Asante Samuel comes in here and makes a difference, or are we just getting hyped about nothing? As we try to make something out of anything on that defense?
It feels like we got to try to make something out of nothing, brother. You know what I mean? Like
shut up.
I think my real expectation is that he would come into the 53-man roster, play a couple of special team snaps, maybe get in on a couple of obvious passing down situations to slowly get him up to speed. But Tomlin said it himself when answering your question. Like he still is mentioning him getting up to game speed and getting that conditioning in that he wants to see out of his players. What is the bar? What is the expectation that he has to reach? I don't know, but the secondary is and remains depleted and very banged up. You can say that about any position, but you have a very talented guy in Asante Samuel Jr. just waiting to make an impact. And if you are a team that wants to try to win games, which I don't know if they should be, but if you're trying to win games, you do have some talented options waiting on your practice squad to be elevated. So yeah, I think they should give him a shot. I would be very, very moderate with my expectations. Special team snaps, 3, 4, 5 snaps on defense. That's about it.
That'd be so awful. Call him up and put him on defense. Let him play. Stop holding back guys that should be on the field for a team that isn't that good. If they were good, different story. But this team isn't that good. Put them on the field. I agree with you, though. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. All right, let's talk about it. Mike Tomlin has been floated around the internet today for rumors that may or may not actually be about him, but it's really hard to come up with another name that you sit here and feel the same exact way about. Most times when coaches are not coaching well and teams are not good under a head coach, that head coach moves on. That's what happens. The NFL fires them, aka the owners fire them, or they decide that they are going to leave. So in the long list of quote unquote long tenured head coaches in the NFL, most of them who are here still and on the same team, they're pretty good with where they're at right now. Not many of them are looking for a change of scenery. Maybe one, maybe two, and I have some alternative names for you, but Mike Tomlin seems to stand pretty tall amongst that pack. Josina Anderson tossed a very interesting little report out today that has everybody stirred up. I think you got the quote. What is it?
I do, and shout out Josina Anderson. I love her. So I'm just going to read the quote and then we can get into it. Talking about the upcoming coaching carousel that is bound to happen. She said that there's, at least 5 NFL teams. Great. Here's the relevant start to the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the relevant part to the Pittsburgh Steelers, excuse me. She says via her X account, meanwhile, there is a longtime NFL head coach out there who is considering wanting a change of scenery and has told others of these thoughts. If he acts on those lingering feelings, his departure would clearly add to the list of vacancies. Now, I don't know if you have this at the ready, but I have a little bit of numbers when it comes to head coaches in the NFL to add some context to this. Would you mind if I provide?
Please present.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And so, there are 3 head coaches that have been with a team for 10 plus years. Mike Tomlin's the longest tenured coach in the NFL. John Harbaugh, our neighbor in the AFC North with the Baltimore Ravens. Andy Reid has been with the Kansas City Chiefs for over a decade now. Behind them, there are 3 coaches that have been with a team for 8 seasons. That would be the next crop of longest tenured coaches. I'm talking about your Sean McVays in Los Angeles, your Sean McDermott's in Buffalo, and your Kyle Shanahan's with the San Francisco 49ers. After that, we got Matt LaFleur and Zach Taylor, 6 years with their respective franchises. Stefanski, 5 years with the Browns. After that, 23 NFL head coaches have been with their organizations for less than 5 years. So that only leaves to me 6 real long-time head coaches, 8 if you want to count, 6 years to try and make something out of nothing. We're talking about 6 to 8 coaches. 2 of those coaches, I think, could be on the hot seat.
2 of them. That's what I was going to say. Let's go through that list. The beginning of the list, Mike T, John Harbaugh, Andy Reid. Andy Reid's not going anywhere but retirement one day to go eat a bunch of burgers and wear his, Hawaiian shirts and just live the best life that he deserves to live. John Harbaugh, 6 weeks ago, you're talking about potentially getting fired. 6 weeks later, not getting fired. The Ravens are going to win the AFC North. And why would you be looking for a change of scenery when your starting quarterback is Lamar Jackson? What are you going to look for something different? No, that's not going to happen. You go through the next set of guys. Who was on that list next? Who was the tier below Mike T?
The 8-season gang, as we're going to call them for right now. Sean McVay, McDermott, and Kyle Shanahan, all 8 years with their respective franchises.
Again, Sean McDermott would be crazy to leave Josh Allen. That's not going to happen. I don't care how cold it is in Buffalo. You stick it out for Josh Allen. Kyle Shanahan's got a quarterback and then might have another one. Plus, he lives in the Bay Area. Like, he's not coming to Pittsburgh. He's not going anywhere else. That's not going to happen. They just signed Brock Purdy. It's just not. His team's still very good. And the third one on that list was McVay. I mean, we don't even have to have that conversation. Sean McVay is not going anywhere. Then the next group of guys, I think, is where it gets interesting, but I still don't think it holds up. Who are they?
We got Matt LaFleur with the Green Bay Packers. He and Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals both been there 6 years. And I'll lump in Kevin Stefanski there with the Cleveland Browns. He's been there 5 seasons. And then after that is when we're talking the untenured bunch.
Kevin Stefanski might get fired this season. Probably is going to get fired this season because he hates Shedeur Sanders, and the Browns are just, it's clear. It's clear that this is it's over. Kevin Stefanski's getting fired. He can't be on the list. Matt LaFleur, I guess maybe, but again, you have Jordan Love, and you just traded for Micah Parsons, and you have a young offense, and you have Josh Jacobs, and it again just doesn't feel like that makes any sense whatsoever to want to leave Green Bay and go to a different team. Green Bay 4 weeks ago was a Super Bowl favorite. It just, again, it just doesn't, 1 + 7 doesn't equal 2. It's just not how that works. and I'm Zach Taylor, and Zach Taylor's probably also getting fired. He would be the only one that makes sense just because I don't think that a Joe Burrow team is enough to say, I still want to it's Joe Burrow and then the worst team in the NFL around Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow's on the field a tenth of the time during a season. He's the only other name that I think makes any sense on this list is Zach Taylor, but I don't think Zach Taylor is quote unquote noteworthy. If Zach Taylor left the Cincinnati Bengals, do we really think that he'd be the hottest name for an NFL head coaching job next season? I don't. I do think that if Mike Tomlin left, he'd have a job in 10 minutes somewhere, maybe Cincinnati. But I do think that he'd have a job at any time. I have a hard time looking at this list and saying that there is another name that makes sense besides Mike Tomlin. And I mean, it would shock me for Mike Tomlin to start telling people that he wants out, but it also wouldn't shock me if he was telling Jay Glazer that he potentially wants out. And now it's starting to float around a little bit. And Josina got word of it. I wouldn't be that surprised. I'll bring up a conversation I had during this season at some point, and it was pure speculation. This was not reports. This was not anything. But I had a conversation, and that conversation with somebody, I will say, I will not say a team source, but I will say an NFL person that would be, I would trust their word before I trusted mine. Does that make sense? Like their opinion makes me rethink my opinion.
Okay.
I had a conversation at some point this season where they said it. They said, what makes you think that he wants to come back to this again? What makes you think that he thinks that this is all his fault and that they can't beat 9-8 because of him? What makes you think that he's not sitting around going, I want to get out of here? And at the time, I was like, that's ridiculous. Shut up. And now I sit here and go, wow, that conversation has been in my head all day long on maybe he doesn't want to be here anymore. I just look at it and say, it's really hard to shut down a rumor about Mike Tomlin right now because it just feels like he's the only name that makes sense. And it also feels like after one season, the rumors are nonsense. After 2 seasons, the rumors are nonsense. After 6 seasons, maybe somebody is starting to get a little irritated with the people around him and the situation that he's actually in.
Yeah. I mean, look, I just think even if it is all just grasping at straws, it is a natural sort of next step, I think, in the conversation and the NFL community to just be constantly asking and inquiring about Mike Tomlin's status with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like no one feels confident about his job security beyond 2025. No one feels like it is a sure thing anymore. Like it was even a month ago that Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers would be forever tied, forever married until Mike Tomlin wanted to give up coaching. Like that doesn't feel so cemented and locked in anymore. And I think whether it is conversations around national sources leaking out, whether it is something behind closed doors making its way out into the public, whether it is just people connecting dots, dots have to be there in the first place. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. Like where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that there is just a lot to keep asking and digging about this. And, could it be turned around very quickly? Yes, but I can very much get on board with this idea that Mike Tomlin, from his perspective, is maybe souring on what his experience is in Pittsburgh right now and what he would like to do moving forward with the rest of his NFL coaching career, because he says it week in, week out. The thing he loves about being an NFL coach is the competition, is the challenge of it, right? So maybe it's just that the challenge and the competition needs to change a little bit. I'm not sure how that actually happens and what that means in reality and actual events, but I don't know. I think the conversation's very valid.
I want to add to a swirling rumor here. If there was ever a team that I could see Mike Tomlin actually leaving for, a team that actually has his interest, why doesn't the New York Giants make sense? Because They're a top tier organization. They're an organization that, and by that I don't mean they're not a great organization. They're not going to go win a Super Bowl tomorrow. That's not what I mean by that. What I mean by it is they hold on to head coaches and they give them real opportunities, which is not something that a lot of teams in the NFL do. They give their coaches real shots to make something happen. They have a successful history in the NFL. They are considered one of those America's teams, the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the San Francisco 49ers, the Green Bay Packers, the New York Giants. Their fan base is worldwide. They have one of those. They have a quarterback that Mike Tomlin and company was interested in who actually looks pretty freaking good in the NFL. On top of that, they have a running back that certainly meets Mike Tomlin's playing style that he doesn't have to worry about. They have a left tackle of the future in Andrew Thomas, and they're slowly piecing other pieces of that offensive line together. On the other side of the football, they have very key names like Brian Burns that you could build off of and say, well, there's my TJ Watt. How else can we pair these guys together? To me, the Giants are the first team ever, because USC was nonsense. Washington was nonsense. That actually makes sense to where Tomlin's going to go. And again, this is just adding to a rumor. That's all this is just adding to the hurricane of a rumor. But if you could, I'm just connecting hypothetical dots here, and those hypothetical dots say maybe that's where that conversation started, is that Mike T's looking at it going, there's going to be some names out there. You know what I mean? There's going to be some names out there that maybe I have some interest in. Maybe there's going to be 6 teams this offseason that will consider change. Imagine if the Green Bay Packers fire Matt LaFleur. You're telling me Mike Tomlin's got zero interest at all to go coach Jordan Love and Micah Parsons in Green Bay? That he's just not even going to consider that opportunity? Like, it's got to go through his head. I think that at the end of this year, depending on what those jobs look like, why wouldn't you consider a change? I just feel like in a lot of years past, it's, he's going here, he's going there. LA was the only other one that made sense ever, but I just don't think the program itself is big enough for Tomlin. Feels like there's some programs right now that are big enough for Tomlin that are going to be available.
And this is, I guess, entirely outside of football, but we've done stuff with his wife, Kaya Tomlin. Like, I wonder how much consideration there, like the personal and what their family has and like what they do here in the city outside of football is a consideration into them leaving. And that is something I know even less about compared to like their, the football acumen of Mike Tomlin and what he does for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I just throw it out there. And I just like the other thing about just one final statement here, question about the Josina Anderson's, update on social media. I found the most interesting was, her adding on like how if this coach does act on these feelings, enters the coaching carousel, like kind of becomes the top candidate. And when you talk about these guys, is Mike Tomlin the top candidate who would be available hypothetically, or is it Zach Taylor? Is it Matt LaFleur? Is it Kevin Stefanski? Like,
no,
the answer is Mike Tomlin over at least 2 out of 3 of those immediately. You can,
yes.
And so I don't know. There's a lot of ways to connect this here. So I just think I don't know who else she could be talking about.
Again, I agree with you 100%. If it's the only name that you could add to this list and say they would potentially be a hotter candidate than Mike Tomlin, is Matt LaFleur. It's the only one. And again, you're crazy. Mike Tomlin would be leaving a team with an old defense that is not working anymore, a bad offense with no coordinators, and a 41-year-old quarterback who is probably going to retire at the end of the season, and then a 6th-round rookie who's supposed to be his successor right now. Matt LaFleur is leaving Jordan Love and Micah Parsons and a great defense and a better running game and a good offensive line for the Giants. So he's going to the Giants? Is he going to go to Vegas? No, it doesn't make sense. It makes look at the dots connect to Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin would tell you to pound sand if you asked him about it. But I'm not out on it. I'm not out on it. I'm not out on it.
I hear ya.
Is your you always got to ask a hypothetical to end a conversation. Is your internal clock for Mike T starting to tick to where it's like, wow, dude, this might actually happen?
Oh, yes. I mean, I think I have shifted greatly over the course of this season from I don't think the Steelers even entertain like there would have to be so much going wrong in order for the Steelers to entertain this possibility. Now I think it's, that I don't think it's, you set the timer for 6 more games and then he's done. I think it is unlikely still that he leaves. I think it is more likely. Here's a better way to phrase that. I think it's more likely that he is the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers once again in 2026. That being said, I do think we are walking that path and we are getting closer with every passing day and game to the end of his tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I agree. I think I went a long time with the thought in my head that wouldn't go away saying Mike Tomlin is never going to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin's never going to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't feel that way anymore. I think at some point during our time covering the Steelers, whether that's the next 30 years or the next 2, I think Mike Tomlin will be gone and we will be going through a coaching change. And I'm so curious to see what that's like. I'm so curious. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm just curious. All right. That's our Mike Tomlin hypothetical talk for the day. Let's jump into a little Overreaction Tuesday to just settle some things, even though I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to come in hot here.
It's a fine line between, drinking wine and squashing grapes, as we say in this business. And sometimes it's very subtle.
Sometimes it's very subtle. You want to know what was subtle? The Steelers' demise here, which stinks. But I think we saw it coming. I think we saw a little bit of it coming. Let me tell you this. There are a lot of people right now who are very down on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know Strackbine may be one of them. And I hope they could convince me, and we will get to that in a second here. But we're going to start with this one. Overreaction or not. And again, I'm going to flip-flop. I'm going to give everybody a little heads up here. I'm a flip-flop. The Bears loss, that marked the last time that we believe in Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers ever.
Wait. I'm sorry. It is the hope in Mike Tomlin.
The hope that the belief
one or the organization, like two set, like. Are you saying the Steelers
together?
The belief in this? Okay.
It is the last time that we believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin together as one unity.
Yes. Now, that is not an overreaction
ever in
Ever.
the rest of time.
Yes, I think if for the remainder of Mike Tomlin's tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the level of confidence that was once there is gone. There is now a completely lowered standard for Mike Tomlin and the belief in him. Now, does that mean that he will be gone? Again, don't know, but I am certain when you test the waters of the fan base, you ask around, you hear what's going on. Expectation, the standard ain't there anymore. Standard's way lower. The expectations are way lower, and I think the outlook and trust and optimism has been significantly lowered.
Okay, 1 for 1 on one that I thought I was starting off 0 for 1 on that one. So let's keep it rolling here. Let's just keep the negativity on a fast pace to what will eventually be a turnaround here. The Pittsburgh Steelers right now are on pace to finish 8-9. That is where their record takes them if you look at their last 6 games of the season. I think it's going to happen. Pretty straightforward here. Overreaction or not, this is going to be Mike Tomlin's first losing season ever with Aaron Rodgers in a team that we told everybody were idiots. You are so dumb to think that Mike T and the Steelers under Aaron Rodgers and company is going to have a losing season. Those words came out of my mouth 100 times this offseason, shutting down everybody and their mother talking smack. I was wrong. This is going to be the first losing season under Mike Tomlin.
That is also not an overreaction. I do disagree with you. And I think I said this yesterday, and I think 9-8 is where I see them finishing, just because that's what a Mike Tomlin team does. They can't be awful, but they sure as heck can't be good. And so I think that's more or less what we're going to see, not 8-9. And I will also state, as just a nice little caveat, that I'm all for them not winning another game. I'm all for them just getting a high draft pick and just going out there and just rebuilding. Like, let's just keep things moving. But that being said, I do not think they are going to finish below 8-9. I think it's a very fair claim and take right now.
That's all right. I love it. 2 for 2. Let's change to the quarterback here before we finish it off with a bang, because I always bring a 4-pack with me. Aaron Rodgers is optimistic to return this week. He was optimistic to play last week. There's nothing that anybody could have said that could have convinced me Aaron Rodgers was not going to play. And him flipping off the cameras, to me, was them not getting an inside look into what was happening so that he could play on Sunday. I was wrong. This week, the Steelers know what they got in Mason. They fully understand that that was not the performance they needed. I think tomorrow, Aaron Rodgers is a limited participant. And this week starts with Will Howard taking first team reps. I think this is the first time we see Will Howard with the first team offense at any point this week. I think the Steelers are actually going to test the waters with this guy in week 13.
No, I think that's an overreaction. It's
one.
not. There's a very, I want to be very clear. There's Jacob, the analyst. Is it an overreaction or not? And then there's what Jacob wants in his heart. And I would love to see no Mason Rudolph with the ones when they open up practice tomorrow. I would love nothing more than to see Mason Rudolph just kind of like playing catch with himself for an hour and a half. Like, that sounds great. Let Will Howard get some extra reps, some valuable time at the helm with some quality players. Let Tomlin evaluate him for a day. Let Aaron Rodgers get an extra day of rest. We know Rodgers is going to come back against the Bills. There's no doubt about that. In my mind, I would be shocked if that happens. I think it's a huge overreaction. Well, exactly. It was last week, Mason Rudolph took every first team snap, and I think that's what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And I think that is what's just going to happen this week, is Mason Rudolph is the first team starter until Aaron comes in, because I do expect him to be a limited participant, the Thursday and Friday.
All right. That was the most fun one I had. That was the most fun one on the entire list. So I was kind of hoping that was the one that made it through. I was wrong.
Sorry.
I told you I was going to flip it around at some point today. Told you at one point we're doing a 180 here. We're not. Look, they don't call me non-negative Noah for a reason here. Did you get that one? Meant positive Noah. The Steelers are 6-5. Things are bad. The AFC North's gone. Losing season. Mike T's ready to go to Green Bay. Let's start that now. Wherever you got to go. The Steelers love to ride the roller coaster, my friend. Love to ride. Dude, Mike T, if he didn't play or coach in the NFL, you want to know what he'd be doing? He'd be working at Kennywood. Ready, kids? Go on the fastest roller coaster they got. Loops on the plate. He'd run it. And we're headed for the same thing again. The Steelers, they're about to turn this bad boy around. We're talking an 0-5 record to end the season last year. The Steelers, they're about to win 5 or more games to end the season this year, heading into the postseason.
This reminds me of a great quote from Jason Kidd whenever he
Oh.
first joined the Dallas Mavericks. He said that we're going to turn this franchise around 360 degrees. And I think that's exactly what the Steelers are going to do. They're turning this thing around 360 degrees in 2025. They're going to go 2-4 down the stretch, 1-5 down the stretch. Like they're not reversing it 180 like you would suggest. I think they are going to Jason Kidd this. They are going to put things exactly where they were once again, even though they keep trying to change things around. I don't think this team's going to go 5-6-0 down the stretch at all. Cannot see it.
Wow. 1-5? 1-5?
They're not going 6-0. I guarantee you that.
That's a 7-10 record, my friend. 7-10 is everybody lose their jobs at 7-10. But I told you I was going to turn it around. I went 0 for 2 to end this thing. Steelers might go 0 to the end of the season. Who knows? But I had to, non-negative Noah had to come out at some point and make this happen. All right, that's Overreaction Tuesday. We're going to take a quick break here. A word from our boys over at DraftKings. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all your questions. Let's toss them in the chat. What's up, AST Nation? I've teamed up with DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. And the best way to do so is through DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers bet $5 and get $200 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. It's almost playoff time, which means now is the perfect time to keep it trucking. Love the thrill of live betting. DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. Then use your bonus bets to stay in on the action and bet DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And don't worry, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, you're fine. You can still join in on all of the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. New customers bet $5 and get $200 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Sign up using my promo code ALLSteelers and get in on the action. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All righty. Shout out to our boys over at DraftKings. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough for everything you do. Before we get going here, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Let's kick it out with a little LKZ. I love Coach T, but if we can get a first and some picks or players, sign me up. After bringing in B-Flow, Mike Munchak, and James Harrison, and some dogs. After that, bring in B-Flow, Mike Munchak, and James Harrison, and some dogs. I will say this. I love the past coaches coming back. Mike Munchak would never. The man is so happily retired. He's living his best life. I actually I grew up with, I don't know exactly how they're connected, but my best friend's cousin is married to Mike Munchak's sister or something. I couldn't tell you. Either way, I was at a party 2 weeks ago and I was talking to her and just asked, "Hey, how's Mike doing?" Blah, blah, blah. And he's just hanging out his cabin. And I was like, all right, that sounds like a man who does not want to return to the NFL. The rest of them, B-Flow, etc. What do you think, Mike Tomlin? We've had this conversation, but do you think Mike Tomlin goes for just a flat? You said like a 3rd round pick. Giants call tomorrow. I'll just toss an offer at you. See if you would, if you think this is realistic. Giants call tomorrow and they say, we'll give you a 1st round pick in 2026 for Mike Tomlin.
I would take it. And I have since learned what the market was in NFL head coaching trades, and it's apparently a ransom, a king's ransom at that. But no, I just think, again, if the Pittsburgh Steelers are ready to move on and go in a different direction, that's a excellent return for a head coach. You can probably get more, I think you certainly could. And I bet you would agree with me on that. But I think if the Pittsburgh Steelers really want to, trade off Tomlin for assets, that's a great return in my mind.
I very much so agree. I'd hand him up for a 1st round pick any day of the week. I also have a follow-up here because I was curious. I was talking to Jeff Hathorn about this today. Do you think things are different today if Mike Tomlin kept Brian Flores around and gave up the defensive power? Or do you think the Steelers are still in the same spot one way or another?
Oh man, what a hypothetical. I think Brian Flores is one heck of a coach, should be a head coach right now. I think it's long been overdue for Mike Tomlin to have given up his play calling duties, or, his control. Let's just leave it at that, over the defense. Brian Flores would have been the ideal person to hand off the defense to, in my mind. Yes, I have to think that Brian Flores would be doing something just a little bit better with this collection of defensive players. I don't believe that just Jalen Ramsey sucks at football now and TJ Watt sucks at football now. Maybe Cam Hayward is not as good as he once was and as he's nearing retirement, but I don't believe he just sucks at football. Derek Harmon doesn't suck at football. How do all these guys how are they all just awful at football? It's just, it cannot be it's not just the island of misfit toys that they paid $200 million for. Like, there is very real issues. All that to say, I think things would look different. I don't think things would look that much better.
Okay. I think I feel the same way. It's just, I think that's the big miss. Like, you could talk about a number of coaches. I think Brian Flores is the big one that you go, that's an alternate universe I would be interested in seeing. I agree with you. I think they're exactly where they are today, but I think the defense might be a little bit better, but they're exactly where they are, because I'd find one way or another to be exactly where they are today. Dan, do you think Mike seemed off at his presser today? No, to be honest, he seemed a little bit too happy for me, a little bit too up-tempo for me. I'm going to be honest. A little bit too smiles and giggles, for a team that just got beat by the Bears and didn't look good in the process. That was my takeaway from today, was that, Mike T should have been a little bit more pissed off. Just a little bit more pissed off.
I don't disagree. I think there is maybe a very intentional effort from Mike Tomlin to set a good mindset when the new week flips, regardless of what happened. He's like the next opponent's the biggest game of the year. Like, you hear stuff like that all the time. So I think if you go into your second day of preparing for the biggest game of the year, still with your head kind of hanging low, kicking rocks down in the dumps about what happened, you can't really get to the place you need to be in order to get better and win. So I see it from that perspective in some way. At the same time, we can have a conversation about Mike Tomlin's kind of inability and unwillingness to criticize in a constructive way his team and his coaching staff and himself. There's there's none of that, and I would love to see a little bit more of that.
I'll take you guys through my experience during this press conference. So I'd say about halfway through, DK Metcalf, I sit in the back of the room. We all have assigned seats. The Steelers obviously hate me. They put me at the end. And
what's up with that? Moved us back a couple tables.
Spit somebody off. I don't know. I was in Dublin, dude. I drank too many Guinnesses. I had wrong conversation. You know what I mean? It was me and Art. I was like, dude, you should probably hire some better coaches. Next thing you knew, tables in the back of the room. DK Metcalf comes in halfway through the press conference and just sits next to me. And I was like, nah, why are you in here? But you can't say anything. This is the middle of a press conference. You're not having a conversation. My head, this is Noah's anxiety playing now. My head immediately goes, he's going to ask a funny question. Bad timing to ask a funny question. Steelers not good right now. Don't be asking funny questions. But he's going to be like, yo, what's your thoughts on DK Metcalf? As the presser starts winding down, I'm sitting there going, you've been in here for 15 minutes. You're not going to ask a question. You have no intent to ask a question to Mike Tomlin. So then my brain goes, are you going to yell at us? Are you going to come into the media room and say something? Like, you going to call us out or something for something that we did? That's where my brain, and then it ended. And I was like, because I was going to be like, yeah, Mike, what's your thoughts on DK? And then I was like, no, dude, he might be in here and beat us up. And then it ends, and he just casually gets up and leaves. And I was like, what the hell was that, man? What are we doing? Why were you in here? And what was going on? That was my experience. So the whole day was off. I know, meaningless, but it's a very awful situation. Very awful situation. Shout out to DK, who clearly messed with a man's mind today. And I was the only one. That was the worst part. I was the only one who knew he was in there. I was the only one. He just sat down next to me and I went, it's just me and you, pal. It's just me and, huh? Okay. Awesome.
I'm like jealous right now. The only cool people I sit next to is Nick Farabaugh. You know,
a stud, absolute stud.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, dude's a stud. Right? You know, the one day Wex is down there in the season. I'm sitting there next to him on a Friday, but yeah, I wouldn't hate sitting next to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I will say it stunk only because I had to like look you know what I mean? Most times you're like scrolling on your laptop, you're like, what do baby squirrels look like? You know what I mean? As Mike T's like talking. And this one, I was like, I look professional. Don't take stupid notes. You know what I mean? Like make sure I kept going to like our page where it says all the stories that we've published. And then I quickly realized I was like, oh, get off that page. Get off that page. That is some very not great headlines. Yeah.
DK Metcalf can't get out of his own way. Oh,
I think the top of it was like, I literally think the first story was the one I wrote this morning that said, that was like Mike Tomlin should be on the hot seat. And I was like, okay, let's go to a different tab here. Let's get out of here right now. Shout out to DK, man. Shout out to DK Metcalf. Thomas, we ended last year losing the last 5 games. Could they do the flip around and win out? Could this be the boot up the ass we need? Since I asked that in my overreactions, I'll kind of steer off of this. Okay. If the Steelers beat the Bills, do you think that they could go on a run? No, let's change it up here. Okay. Do you think the Steelers could sweep the Ravens to give themselves an opportunity here?
Yes, I think there is a chance. I as much as I remain pessimistic and bullish on this team, I cannot discount the fact that they could easily win both games in these coming 6 weeks against the Baltimore Ravens. It's AFC North football. Records mean nothing. The momentum heading into it means even less. Like it always reminds me of like college football rivalries in the sense that like it just doesn't matter where either team is at when they meet. It doesn't matter what part of the schedule it's in. Like you just have to go in there and just hope that your team that you're rooting for comes out with a victory. There's no other sort of like, there's no other guarantees. So I think it's possible. I absolutely do. I don't think they're going to go 6-0, even if they do beat the Ravens, which I think would be probably enough to sort of get them there to the postseason, right? Then they'd only have to probably win one other game to get one other game to get there and make sure they have the division, like beat the Browns one more time. You probably wrap it up. Like that's a
9. I do think it's 9. I think the magic number for the AFC North is 9, and that's disgusting. But I do think it's 9. I'm telling you, best case scenario for all of this, to just say, universe, throw us your craziest card. The Steelers win the AFC North at 8-9. Snaps Mike Tomlin's winning season record, and then they win the wild card round against whoever, and there it goes, ends the drought. And then we go into the most confusing offseason of all time. And you're just going, I don't know what to think. And if you want to add a cherry on top here, Will Howard starts that playoff game, does not play well in it, but they win. And then you're going, well, I just don't.
What the hell is happening right now?
Yeah, I think at that point, the universe explodes and the sun touches all of us and we die. I think that's pretty much exactly what happens. TK, has Mike Tomlin heard that you can throw over the middle? Yeah, this is, you want to know who has heard? The Dallas Cowboys have heard, because I don't know if you've seen that passing chart. I think we talked about this yesterday, the passing chart for George Pickens, but it's pretty atrocious. It's pretty beautiful compared to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is a Mike T specialty, is not loving to throw over the middle of the field. And it's not fun. It's really, really not fun.
It's where turnovers happen.
It is. It
It's
is.
where
Unless you
turnovers happen.
unless you
throw
throw it to the
boundary.
outside.
Yeah.
There it is.
And yeah,
there it is.
it's almost like, it's almost like turnovers happen all over the football field.
Almost. It's like I mean I haven't played football since high school, and even in high school was not good. I'm
Don't come on.
When
you
I
were
remember
all county in
I was not
Eastern Pennsylvania.
I was not
farm
an
team,
Eastern
baby.
I was not. I was even the farmers better than I. No chance, brothers. Yeah. I very much so agree. Coffeeholic, which fantastic name here. Mike T, just to give you guys a quick update on my health here. I have cut my coffee intake to 2 coffees a day, only because the Starbucks Christmas coffees are like 500 calories. So you can only have one of them a day. You can't have 2.
What?
You can't have 2 a day. So yeah, I'm, you know what I mean? I'm trying to slim up for Thanksgiving.
Wait. What do they put in these coffees? Just so much
The
fat.
one I get is a caramel brulee latte, which is so good, dude. So good. Like unbelievably delicious. But it is
Sounds
pretty
really
much
yummy, bud. Sounds really yummy.
It's like doesn't taste like coffee at all, but it's fantastic. It's fantastic. But
I wouldn't hate that.
No. Anybody who likes sweets, you are a big fan. Mike McCarthy for offensive coordinator or head coach, fire one and done. Mike, I'm not a big, I don't want the Steelers to bring in a former coach. I just don't want them to do it. I don't want the Steelers to say, we have finally made such a massive move. We're going to take the safe route to replace him. No, I want the scary route. I want the risk. Go get a guy that you think is going to be the next great mind in the NFL and bring offensively or defensively. I could care less. The next great mind in the NFL and bring him to Pittsburgh. That's what I want. And I just, you're not going to get that in a former head coach. You're just not.
No. Let Mike McCarthy hang out down Greenfield. Shout out, lived there for a couple years, not disparaging the neighborhood, but let him just hang out there with his family. That's fine. I don't want him on the Steelers at all. I don't want to retread. I don't want to bank on someone's experience being the thing that's going to save the Steelers. No, they need to be innovative and forward thinking. And Mike McCarthy might be a lovely and well-respected coach.
For sure.
Pass. Hard pass.
You want to bring him in as like a consultant with your new head coach?
Sure.
Sure. You know what I mean? Awesome. Sounds good to me. Local guy, probably has still a lot of family here. Probably not living here because his options were here or Dallas. And he was like, you know what sounds better? Not snow. That sounds awesome. But still, I think it would be great. Thomas, Kenny G is the next Cordero Patterson. I very much so disagree with this. Thomas, this is the hottest take we've had all day long. This is the hottest take we've had. No, the disrespect for Kenny G. Kenny G's been good. I was one of the first to admit I was off on Kenny G. Kenny G has been a stud here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I'll look up his stats as we're talking. I'm probably going to get a little glitchy here. I apologize, but
I actually think I have Kenny G's still written in my notes from my Puntori's playbook. Don't even bother. I do.
Go for it.
Kenny G's season stats?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the rushes. 71 carries, 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4.7 average, and 42 receptions for 42 receptions for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns, a crazy 294 yards after the catch for Kenneth Gainwell. That's 22nd in the NFL so far.
That's exactly what you're looking for a backup running back. I mean, look at I one bad play stunk. I kind of credit the Bears more than I do Kenny G for that one. Crazy crazy how the Steelers have the best kicker in the NFL, and they watched that and probably went, nah, we can't do that. We just, no chance. We're going to try that one on Chris Bott. That's just too risky here on that one. No. This, Thomas, I will say this one is the hottest take we've had all day. And we've had I've made some crazy takes today. That one tops the list. Shout out ND Joe. Something just fell down the steps at my house. That's terrifying. ND Joe, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results, the different results. The standard has become this: insanity. Yes. Yeah. I think that's the one piece of the whole Mike Tomlin criticism that reigns super true right now. And that is, the standard in Pittsburgh is no longer the standard that it was 15 years ago. The standard is not like the standard is lowered significantly. And you could keep saying it all you want that the standard is the standard, but you have to prove that standard. And when you got guys like James Harrison and everybody else calling you out, you're not proving that standard. You're lowering the bar of what it should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to that. It's just where things are. It's lay poopy.
It's lay poopy. It's lay poopy.
Lay poopy. Yeah.
ND Joe, once again, what better way to start the team rebuilding by hosting the draft in Pittsburgh, have a losing season, and wheel and deal, baby. Here's my conspiracy theory of the day after what was an episode of Conspiracy Theories. If the Steelers season ends the way that we expect it to end here, I think there is a near 100% chance that Art Rooney forces Omar Khan to move up in the draft and draft a quarterback to try and re-spark the Pittsburgh Steelers in a draft that is in Pittsburgh. That is what I think.
You think that's a mandated from the top down too?
Well, okay. So, I mean, some people don't believe this. I know it to be true. Art is the one who drafted Kenny. Art's the one who who made the decision on Kenny, who said we're not going to miss on Dan Marino again, which wild. I think that in rare circumstances, he does not do this very often. In rare circumstances, I think he makes the call, and I think this is going to be one of those rare circumstances.
Okay.
Do you not feel the same way, or does that just annoy you because you are so out on the quarterback class? Yeah.
Thanks, Art. Cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hey, did you want me? You got enough articles to read this morning? We got it. It's fine. Yeah, I just wouldn't listen. Some say that's why I'm not the best employee. Ask my boss.
You know what? That might be how they handle it and how they should handle it. If we're going to be really honest. You can't
trade up for a quarterback in this upcoming draft, even with it being in Pittsburgh. The importance, you got to get you cannot miss on this player, but don't panic, don't overreact and trade up to get, I don't know. You love the dude from Alabama. Don't trade up. If you have 20, don't trade up to 10 to get this kid. Just not worth it.
No. I do think that if it was just from my understanding of the Steelers right now where they sit, Fernando Mendoza would be the only guy that they'd be interested in moving up in. But
fine with that.
Again, that's different coming from I don't know Art's thoughts, I don't know Art's thoughts on the situation, and I think it changes come draft time. Pittsburgh Hornets overreaction. The Pirates will drop the bag for players before Rooney fires or trades Tomlin. No, this is easy. There's only one overreaction that could be made about the Steelers eventually firing or moving on from Mike Tomlin, and it is the Pirates paying. Have you ever heard of this guy? Go Google Bob Nutting there, Pittsburgh Hornets. No, I totally know you're kidding, but at the same time, he would never, dude. Bob Nutting is going to die in a grave made of money, lined with money, and his coffin will only include pictures of sad Pirates fans that are printed on money. That's what will happen. That is what will happen.
This dude drinks the tears of Pirates fans. This guy
Yeah.
has, like, I don't know if I've said this to you before on here, but I know I say it to anybody who will listen to me about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like, they are the MLB equivalent of the producers. I don't know if you've ever seen the musical. I don't know if you've ever seen the original Mel Brooks movie with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel. Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka, you know what I mean? Blazing Saddles, that guy.
Yes.
Yes. Great. The conceit of the movie, I'll give you it in 30 seconds. Here's the log line.
Boom.
Broadway producers desperate for cash figure out that they can make a lot more money if they put on the worst show ever, recoup their money invested, and then close. Bob Nutting has been living the producers out for years. He puts in nothing, gets out the worst product, and rakes in cash year in, hand over fist. That guy. And it's also hilarious because last thing, our team covers the Pirates, right? Like, I'm not on that, but I will see the updates like as they're talking about certain things, and there was conversations about maybe they're going to spend big, and there was ties, there were some rumors of them being interested in certain players, and then there was within 48 hours they actually never made those offers. They didn't. They just like sent an email and they're like, how much does he want? No, we'll pass, thanks. We're going to go buy another house for Bob Nutting.
Shout out. We're just going to go buy another ski resort with the ticket holders' money. Shout out to those guys. But yeah, this is the overreaction of overreactions for sure. Cody Silva, what's the difference between sucking with Rodgers and sucking with Howard? Play Howard. Okay. What's the game? Like, where in your head do you go? Okay, now it's time to play Will. I think 2 more losses. In my head, you hit 6 and 7 in the next 2 weeks with a loss to Baltimore finishing it. Will Howard finishes the season. It's in my head where it makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think the first Baltimore meeting. So that's week 14, right? It's after Buffalo.
Yes. Yeah, it goes Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami,
Detroit.
Cleveland. Oh, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore.
Okay. That week. So not this week against the Bills, not against the Ravens, but yeah, if you lose that game to the Ravens and the Bills, you're done. Season's over. Doesn't matter what else happens. Play your rookie. See if he has any potential worth trying to work on further and develop. Otherwise, let's protect Aaron Rodgers.
You got to protect Aaron Rodgers.
Got to protect him. It's a prudent decision. It's a prudent decision to protect him.
Yeah.
From himself.
Yeah. Lindsay the Ghost is tired of your negativity. No, he's coming. Let's not be joking about this. You know what I mean? I'm home alone for a couple hours after this. This is not fun times. Lindsay, overreaction. I think there should be more rest days you practice and don't get paid. There should be no more rest days you practice and don't get paid. I get the message behind this, but I need you. If this is a stance that somebody stands on, I need you to go to your closest brick wall. I need you to start 10 yards behind it, and I need you to run into it as hard as you can. Don't shield yourself. Just run into it as hard as you can 37 times. I need you to do that 37 times. And then I need you to wake up tomorrow and go to work. And then I need you to, after work, go for a 5-mile run. And then I need you to do that again the next day. And then next Sunday, I need you to run into that wall again. And you tell me how many times you could do that before you go, wow, I'm ready to die. Or you die. One of the two happens. It just, I can't, you can't do that to some guys. You just can't.
I believe in working hard, truly. I also do believe in rest.
Yeah, pain.
So yeah, yeah, for sure. You just the alternative is they don't do this, and like this is where again I agree with the heart of the premise, right? Lindsay's always has great takes for us. Like hard work is often at the heart of these teams, right? And of championship teams in sports. I agree with that 100%. these NFL players, man, just to get real for a second, they're dying early. They're putting their bodies on the line, playing the most violent sport I've ever friggin' seen. Like, it seems like, I obviously wasn't around in Roman times for the gladiators, but stuff's pretty violent. These guys are putting their bodies on the line weekly. I'm okay with them taking a day off, even when things are bad, if it is a way to save their body's detriment down the line. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is. But that's how I choose to give the benefit of the doubt there, take an approach of like, maybe this is the better thing for their health long term.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it.
You're protecting TJ Watt to make sure that he plays 18 games. You know what I mean? Because the longer you run into a wall, the more it's going to add up, the closer you're going to get to serious injury, and you want these guys rested. Two Girls, One Duff. You guys are all about doom and gloom in me. The last 2 days, I need a big W Sunday to make you guys bearable again. Sorry, dude.
I can tell a positive Steelers story that just popped into my head, I guess.
Beautiful.
This is like one of the reasons I love the Pittsburgh Steelers and always like wanted to cover them and all that fun stuff. But I remember going to a game when Mike Wallace was like still in his like prime or like just breaking out. They played the Miami Dolphins. I'll have to find the actual game information. Catches a pass, touchdown in the open end zone, the open side of the end zone. My dad just so happened to procure tickets very close to there. Pushed me up to the gate. This got a little head tap from Mike Wallace after he celebrated the tutty. Great day.
That's a good day
right there for life for this boy. You know what I mean? Hey, that's a good day. It can be positive sometimes. We gotta balance it out.
For sure. There it is, dude. That's the good story of the day right there. Good news of the day by Jacob Panturi. Love it. Cody Silva. It's a lot more comfortable watching us now that we are on a downfall. The stress is gone. Also, there's something moving behind. Let's not be joking here, boys and girls. Let's not be messing with the ghost in the Strackbine household that does not exist and is not welcome here. Just so that, just in case it is making its way around something else,
Respect my home.
Yeah, get out of my house. Get out of my house. I don't like it. We're not friends. We're not friends. I do. It's Cody, brother. I have nothing to say, but I feel you. And it's tough times out there. It's tough times. Lance, I'm telling you, if we move up, we need to get the next great safety for us in Downs. He's a monster. He is right now, my list of guys that I would move up for in the NFL draft include Caleb Downs. That's the list.
Oh, dude's a freak for sure.
Freak. A blast. And the answer is yes. The answer is for sure yes. Chad, what about MVS? Don't have any hope or belief that he is going to practice this week or play for the Steelers against the Bills.
Yeah, they keep telling him the wrong place for practice.
Shout out.
He's like, it's like, did you watch the Amanda Show when we were kids?
Yeah.
I think it was like Moody's Point or something that Amanda's mom was just like trapped in a hot air balloon.
Yes,
that's where MVS is right now. Like he's just like, I'm coming, guys. I'll be there, and they're like, okay.
Oh, wow, dude! What today? You called back a Jason Kidd getting drafted by the Mavericks quote, and Moody's Point from the Amanda Show's mom's hot air balloon journey.
Yeah, crazy day for me.
And I gotta say, dude, the recall today is top tier, 10 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
You're welcome.
AWOL. Look at Pickens. That was the dumbest trade in football history. How about this one? Okay. I saw Dan Orlovsky today say that George Pickens is the best wide receiver in football. Where would he rank with the Pittsburgh Steelers today?
Oh, we'd be having the same conversations that we had last year about him, how he is so talented, could be one of the best in the entire NFL, but there's just something. Maybe it's the quarterback play. Maybe it's his commitment. Maybe it's this, that, the other thing. But there would just be something holding him back. And I think, what was holding him back is just like not caring about what he does off the field. Like, I just think the Cowboys care. I don't think Jerry Jones is like, you play that boy every week. You're going to go ahead and you play him there. Dang it. and that's what they do.
They took
don't
3
care.
plays off. Just for those of you who did not, he got benched for 3 days, 3 plays for not showing up to a meeting, which is
Don't you do that again, mister.
Crazy. So crazy. Shout out to Steve here. I used to live and die with the Steelers, but over the last 10 years, I've become more and more apathetic. Now I just view them as strictly entertainment, like a movie, a concert. Some are good. That's a brutal life of a fan, my friend. That is a brutal life of a fan. But let's again be honest with ourselves. At least they're not the Cleveland Browns. At least at the end of the day, hold your head up high. At least they're not the Cleveland Browns. Official Duruski. Would you take another year of Kenny Pickett for Matt LaFleur? No. Although Matt LaFleur is the only coach that would be an old coach in my head that I would be very open to the Steelers hiring, because he comes from the Shanahan tree. He's got all the right tools, and he's made a lot of success, a lot of success in the NFL, and he's not old. He's still a very young head coach. So he would be the only one that I'd be open to. That being said, I would not take another year of Kenny Pickett for him. That was miserable.
No, thanks. No, thanks. I mean, we're going to have to probably struggle through a miserable, year or two, possibly more, of quarterbacks in the horizon. I don't want to be told it's Kenny Pickett ahead of time. I want to have some optimism before it happens.
Yeah. All right, let's finish it off with Pittsburgh Hornets here. Start bench cut, green bean casserole with no onions, thank God. Room temp canned cranberries or dry turkey. I'm going to be... This is awful. This is awful. I didn't read this. We came into this completely blind. I'm going to be really honest. Turkey's the grossest thing you eat on Thanksgiving in my head. It's the worst food of the whole day. I hate it. I eat the smallest piece of turkey and I get it out of my face just to say I did it. It sucks. I do.
Get it out of my face.
I take a piece this big, dude, and I say, all right, this 2 bites. That's all right. We're moving on. We're done. We're done with the turkey. Get it out of my face. I'm starting green bean casserole because you could still, it's not great, but it's not the worst. You need your dried onions in there, but you know what I mean? Like your crispy onions. Cranberry is just also disgusting. Room temperature should be thrown right away. But I think I'm benching it because dry turkey could just leave, dude. You shouldn't even be welcome in the conversation.
My stomach is turning right now at this. This is off. Like, this is like my nightmare. You get all excited for Thanksgiving dinner. You sit down and they're like, this is what we got this year.
I think I've told this story many times on this podcast, but and my current family will know this. But the first Thanksgiving I ever went to my wife's family's Thanksgiving, I called my sister 20 minutes into it and was like, dude, I think I have to leave. She's like, why? I was like, they don't have any desserts here. And she was like, they don't have desserts on Thanksgiving. She's like, not even pumpkin pie. I said, not a single dessert was brought to this Thanksgiving. And it was atrocious. It was a tough day. It was a tough day for Noah Strackman. It was a really, because I work on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? I work right up until dinner. I show up after work to dinner. I'm ready for that meal, brother. I'm ready to go. And I walked in, not a slice of pie was in that house. Not a freaking slice. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
That's unreal.
We do all the desserts for every year since we've done every dessert.
You got it. Duh.
I didn't even leave the house without making it. Hey guys, just so everybody knows, I'm bringing the desserts next year. Every one of them. And I do. And I spend way too much money on desserts. Because
As you should. Correct.
As you should. Steve, actually, the Browns have had more recent success. Yeah.
One win. Okay.
One season. Yeah, it's not I don't think it's could you imagine having a head coach that hates your starting quarterback while all you're doing is cheering about Myles Garrett being good while your team loses every week? It would suck. So life would be not fun. Not fun at all. So shout out to Steve. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.